Okay, this is going to be an introduction and pretty much a finishing concept here of how to actually turn an angle. In other words, you've learned how to use the at, distance, less than angle to put an angle of a given direction, with said directions being east being 0, north being 90, west being 180, and south being 270. We're now going to look at a world where everything is not so tied into these fixed directions on the rose wheel, if you would, but instead fixed in as compared to the line before them. We call that a turned angle. Within survey, within the shop, you might actually need to base an angle on the last line you drew. And so we're going to use, for the first time, I guess, for me, we're going to use the grip snaps to make that turned angle. And you've already been introduced to do what you do with grip snaps in terms of selecting and then left clicking and toggling through with your space bar. The only thing you then need to realize is you want to always remember that a positive angle is counterclockwise, and even more important, just know that a positive angle is it should be counterclockwise, and if you look at the screen and things don't go the right way, you went the wrong way. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through and do a quick kind of traverse, and I'll talk you through it. I'm going to start with just drawing an arbitrary line by, again, not using any snap here, because the fact is lines do not always run east, west, north, south. Hitting the space bar to break the command, and now I'm going to draw a new line. I'm not going to draw a new line, I'm sorry. I'm going to actually use the grip snaps to copy this line upon itself and then rotate it 30 degrees to the right, which would be a negative. So again, we left click to select it, we left click over it, and we space bar, and you see rotate here with the choice of doing copy first, and this is why it's a little odd. You're going to copy, and then the rotation angle you're just going to give, and the rotation angle will be as you look back on this. If you want to turn 30 degrees, you're just going to type in -30, and you see it there copied, that line exactly 30 degrees. Now, it may seem problematic to do that, but that's pretty standard on a lot of engineering and survey. And now to go back and change the length of that line. Now there's going to be, I'm hitting escape and escape. There's going to be a bunch of great ways to change that length. One will be to change the dynamic snap back on and just toggle through it. But it's not a bad command to know, again, when you get into 3D, LEN for length. Select an object or delta, percent, total, or dynamic. We might want to say we want to have a total length of 0.5, and then select the object. And what you do is you want to grab the side of the object that you want to extend or shorten, and you see that shortened it way back as I have driven relatively long. So let's zoom in here by rolling in the mouse. I'm going to left click, right click out here, and go down to properties, and we'll see one of the ways we can see what we have. The length of this line is in terms of delta X and delta Y here. But we're going to see, more importantly, we're going to learn to right click and then go to list, which we've placed on the mouse, and we get a good example of what the list command looks like. And it's got a lot of important information in here that you don't necessarily get thrown at you with properties as well. You can highlight and cut and paste, right click here, copy, etc. So that's the great use of the list command. We've placed that again on your mouse once you selected something. So let's go ahead now and turn another angle here. I'm going to left click on the line, left click on the place I wanted to turn it, spacebar, spacebar. I'm going to remember to say copy, C, usually the first. They show you that in the text there, they show you the by capitals what the letter you need to type to keep that command going. I'm typing C, spacebar, and I'm going to rotate that, again, negative minus maybe 110. And it turned it around that way. Now, I'm going to finally introduce you to probably one of the most important commands that you're going to know, and that is the fillet with a radius of 0. If you remember from Euclid's precepts, two lines on a plane will either be the same line, they will be parallel, or they will intercept at some one point. Using the fillet command with a radius of 0 will extend those two lines to their logical conclusion or logical intersection. You'll see the fillet command is used a lot in 2D and 3D, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here, hold down the mouse bar, hitting escape key here, right click, going to fillet. The radius you see is set to 0, and so I can click here and here, and we see it shortens that up. You're now introduced to the final concept, which is the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. And let yourself think about that one, because we deal with more than triangles in drafting. But in this case, the sum of these three angles must be 180 degrees. All right. Finally, let me go ahead and do the same thing. This time, however, I'm going to rotate the whole set of things here. And left clicking, spacebar, spacebar, CO for copy, and then I'm going to rotate positively now, maybe 45 degrees. And an escape bar, and I've done that. Let me try this again. This time I'm going to try mirror. I'm selecting across the top, left clicking over, spacebar, 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 mirror, and I can select a second point. If you notice here, and it's going to let me kind of select how I want to do it as I make this kind of base butterfly, I guess I would. And because I did not do a copy for the mirror, it flipped it all over. So let's try that again. Hitting an escape bar, escape key, I'm going to highlight, left click, spacebar, 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 CO for copy, grab that second point, and hit a return. You're learning to use grips. That's going to get you pretty far within drafting, especially if you learn to use the copy as well. Thanks for listening.